In this video, we're going to go over how to upgrade your semi-fat and semi-fat SR controllers to our new upgraded version with integrated lighting inside the main harness. For this task, you're going to need some scissors or zip tie cutters and some electrical tape. Alright, first you're going to want to remove the 4 Allen bolts on the outside of the plate on the side of the bike. You will also want to remove your battery just to make sure it does not interfere or short anything out. You are not removing these 4 screws, leave those there, just the 4 bolts on the side. That will give you access to the controller. Next, you want to use your scissors and cut the zip tie on the right side of the bike that ties the motor cable to the motor, and then pull your controller out, and then you'll want to disconnect each of the cables. These are the battery cables, those pull straight apart. Then the motor cable goes through the hole in the back, so then you can pull it through the hole with a little bit of work. And then for the other connectors, your pedal assist sensor and your light, they have a little clip, so you push down and pull apart. So now we've removed the old controller. Alright, the next step is to pull the headlight wire through the frame since we no longer need it. It has a connector on the end that we need to remove so we can slide it through the frame. So use your scissors just to cut that off. Leave a little length on the wires just in case. And then go to the front of the bike where your headlight wire comes through the frame on the right side. You can just pull that through the frame. We no longer need this wire. All right, your next step is to remove our little black plastic protector here. You might have to wiggle it back and forth and then pry it out the front of the bike. Alright, the next step, we're going to cut our main harness cable, the wire that comes from the splitter here. So wiggle it to make sure you have the correct wire. It's not the hard brake wire, but the kind of thinner electrical wire. So we're going to cut that here, and then don't lose it. Keep it here for now. Alright, next we're going to cut a slot on the side of our protector with our scissors, so cut from both ends. Try to keep it as clean as possible to allow us to open this up slightly. And then, let's see here. Alright, next we're going to use our electrical tape to tie our old wire to our new wire. That way we can pull on the old wire to bring our new wire in. Alright, you want to make sure it's nice and tight and not loose. We wrapped about 1 inch on either side of the big connector and our little connector. Try to make sure nothing's sticking out. Then we can start working towards pulling it through the frame. Alright, it is a little bit of a tight fit, but if you kind of wiggle it back and forth, that'll get your connector inside the frame. Alright, now we're going to feed the big new wire and pull on the old wire to feed it through the frame. Be careful not to pull too hard if there's any resistance. Try to see what's causing it, and then keep feeding it through the frame. When you're pulling your cable through the frame, it will go through the spring where the frame folds, so you'll have a little bit of resistance. So keep the frame straight and then pull on the cable from behind, and this is why it's important to have a nice tight connection between the 2 wires so they don't come disconnected, and just keep pulling on it, and eventually the cable will come through the frame. Alright, to install our new controller, we have our battery wires, our pedal assistance wire, our tail light wire, our main harness, and our motor wire. So we're going to start off. Make sure you align the connectors. The arrow should align with the arrow. And we'll do our positive and into our red to red, then our black to black, and our pedal assistance connector, and then our tail light, making sure not to pull on them too hard. And then we have our motor cable, which is going to feed through the hole in the back of the frame. To make it easier to insert the motor cable through the frame, pull the tail light cable back to where the wires are in the hole. That will give you a little more room to slide the larger connector through. All right, now we're going to slide our old cable protector over our new wires. Slide that back into the frame. Run this up in line with the old one. Start disconnecting the old wires, plugging in the new wires, and then make sure you align the notches on each of the connectors. Red to red for brake levers, then our green to our new black connector here. Line the arrows. Do not force it if it does not go easily. Do not force it. Connect that. On the other side for red and yellow. The yellow is the throttle, the red's the other brake lever. Align your notches and arrows. And then you can remove the little plastic holders and then reinstall them. And then remove the old harness, which we no longer need. Save the plastic connectors to hold the wires together, and then reinstall them on the new cables. All right, to finish the installation, we're going to install our headlight and then install the panel in front of the controller. But before we do that, we want to check our system to make sure everything's working properly. So to do that, we're going to turn our battery to the on position. Hold the power button to turn on the LCD. We can lean the bike on the kickstand. Check the motor's working. And then we can also hold the plus button, and that turns on our light and our tail light. So now we've confirmed everything is working. So now we will finish the installation by installing our headlight on the fork, installing the panel on the side with the 4 screws, and then adding a zip tie to the motor cable to hold it against the frame. And then you will be done with your new controller installation.